A blade does not hesitate. It does not question. It simply cuts. Strength is often loud. It boasts. It declares. It demands to be seen. The strongest warriors do not speak of strength. They endure it. Zoro is a man who carries his convictions in silence. He does not chase glory. He does not seek validation. His sword is his only witness. He is not the loudest. He is not the most ambitious. Yet he is the foundation upon which Luffy's dream stands. Because in a world where pirates break their promises, Zoro is the one man who never does. His scars are not just for battles. They are from the weight of the promises he carries. Many see him as just a warrior, a bodyguard, and a soldier for Luffy. But a soldier fights for a cause. Zoro fights because he said he would. And if a swordsman cannot keep his word, then what is he? Zoro is not just a swordsman. He is the weight of a promise kept. This is the anatomy of Roronoa Zoro. Strength means nothing without conviction. Many men claim to be strong, but strength without purpose is meaningless. Some wield their power recklessly, others hoard it for themselves, but there are rare few who devote their strength to something greater, and Zoro is one of them. Because strength alone does not make a leader. Strength alone does not make one a captain. And yet if Luffy is the dream, Zoro is the reality that holds it together. Zoro is the right hand of the Pirate King, not because of the power, but because of the burden he carries. Zoro is the true right hand to Luffy. For Luffy may be the captain, but he is not alone. A captain is only as strong as the people who stand beside him. In most pirate crews, the right-hand man is a second in command, a soldier who follows orders. But Zoro is not just a follower. He is the enforcer of Luffy's will, the protector of his dream, and the one who reminds him what it means to lead. Zoro was the first to recognize Luffy as a worthy captain, not because Luffy was the strongest, not because Luffy was the smartest, but because Luffy, like him, did not break his word. When Luffy declared he would be the Pirate King, Zoro didn't laugh. He didn't doubt. He simply followed. Because to Zoro, a man's word is his bond. And the moment he gave his to Luffy, his dream no longer belonged to just himself. Let's go over the key moments that define Zoro's role as the right hand. The first one was in his promise to never lose again after the fight against Mihawk. I will never lose again until I defeat him and become the world's greatest swordsman. I will never be defeated. This was not just a vow for himself. It was a vow to his captain. Zoro understood that if Luffy was to become Pirate King, his right-hand man could not be weak. Once again, Luffy vs. Usopp. When Usopp challenged Luffy's authority, Zoro was the first to step in. If you waver as a captain, who will we follow? Zoro was not protecting Luffy's pride. He was protecting the dream they all believed in. And again, nothing happened. When Kuma came to destroy the crew, Luffy was unconscious. Sanji was willing to die. But Zoro didn't just offer his life. He offered his suffering. He took all of Luffy's pain, all of his captain's burden, and bore it alone. And he told no one. Because the right-hand man does not need recognition. He simply does what must be done. Many warriors seek validation. They want to be seen, to be acknowledged. But Zoro does not fight for recognition. He fights because it's his duty. Because while Luffy speaks dreams into existence, Zoro makes sure they never broken. A man of action, not words. And a world full of liars, that is rare. A sword does not boast of its sharpness. It simply cuts. Words can be twisted. Promises can be empty. A weak man speaks his convictions loudly. A strong man does not need to. Zoro is not a man of grand speeches. He does not seek admiration. He does not ask for trust. He earns it. Where others plead for belief, Zoro proves himself through action. Where others waver in uncertainty, Zoro moves forward without hesitation. And where others crumble under the weight of responsibility, Zoro carries it, alone and without complaint. Because to him, a man's worth is not measured in words, it is measured in what he chooses to endure. And here are the key moments of Zoro's philosophy of action. Once again, when he'd taken Luffy's pain, Luffy is the heart of the crew, the one who smiles through suffering. But when Luffy is unconscious, when he cannot protect himself, when his dream teeters on the edge of destruction, who is the one that stands in his place? Roronoa Zoro. Against Kuma, Zoro does not ask for help. He does not hesitate. He steps forward and without pride, without ego, he makes a simple request. Take my life instead. But Kuma offers something worse than death. He offers pain, unfiltered, raw, and all-consuming. The pain that nearly killed Luffy. Sanji, despite his own strength, offers to share the burden, but Zoro does not let him. Because to Zoro, there is no question. This is his duty. And when it is over, when a weight of agony crushes him to the ground, when Sanji stumbles upon his broken form and demands to know what happened, Zoro says nothing. Because suffering does not need to be acknowledged. Because loyalty does not need to be spoken. Because some sacrifices are made in silence. And so, nothing happened. Once again, in Water 7, Zoro is not just a swordsman. He is the backbone of the Straw Hats crew and the Code of Honor. Luffy may lead, but without Zoro, their convictions would crumble. So when Usopp, blinded by his own insecurities, disrespects their captain and walks away, Zoro does not chase him. He does not beg him to return. He does not plead for understanding. Because if Usopp's words mean nothing, then his actions must reflect them. And if he wants to return, then it cannot be through half-hearted excuses. Whatever you do, Luffy, you better not kiss his ass and tell him how happy you are to see him. Zoro does not demand perfection, but he does demand accountability. Because if they do not take themselves seriously, then who will? This is what makes Zoro different, not just as a warrior, but a man of principle. Not just strong, but unwavering. He does not say what he believes, he lives it. Many mistake his strength for power, but power is fleeting. True strength comes from discipline. And Zoro is willing to suffer for it. Because a man's convictions mean nothing if he's not willing to bleed for them. This is a recurring theme of Zoro, the strength through discipline and suffering. A blade does not temper itself to comfort. It is forged in fire, beaten, sharpened until it can cut through anything. Zoro's strength is not talent. It is not the result of luck. It is something that's built through suffering, through discipline, through a willpower that refuses to be broken. Strength in One Piece is often defined by ambition, but Zoro's strength is different. Luffy's power is freedom. Sanji's strength is emotion. Usopp's is deception. But Zoro's strength is the weight of suffering. He does not seek power for the sake of domination. He does not dream of ruling over others. His strength is a personal covenant to fulfill a promise, to never falter, to never allow weakness to stain his resolve. Zoro does not ask if he will suffer. He does not question why he must endure the pain. He knows it is inevitable, and because of that, he is prepared. Promises are something that Zoro takes extremely seriously. Scars on the back are a swordsman's shame. The moment Zoro challenges Mihawk, he is faced with absolute power, a gap so insurmountable that many would crumble. But Zoro does not hesitate, because for him, this fight is not about winning. It is about proving himself worthy of the path he has chosen. He takes Mihawk's smallest blade head on, refusing to step back, refusing to retreat, even in the face of overwhelming force. And when Mihawk offers him mercy, he chooses death over disgrace. This is the first real consequence of Zoro's dream. Until now, the weight of his promise to Kuina had been abstract, but this moment makes it real. This is what the road to becoming the world's strongest swordsman will demand. He does not just accept this suffering, he embraces it. And when he falls, he turns his back, spreads his arms, and tells Mihawk, "If you're going to cut me from the front. I will never turn my back on my dream." The scars on the back are a swordsman's shame. At that moment, Zoro loses the fight, but he wins something greater, Mihawk's acknowledgement. Because this is a man who understands that pain is the price of true strength. But this is just the beginning. Once again, in Thriller Bark, if Mihawk's duel was about embracing suffering, Thriller Bark was about enduring it. At the end of the battle, Kuma stands over an unconscious Luffy, preparing to erase him from existence. The crew is broken, exhausted, and no one can stand except Zoro. Even after giving everything he had in the battle, he gets back up. And when Sanji tries to stand beside him, Zoro knocks him out. Because this isn't about pride, it's about proving himself. It's about his duty. Zoro does not ask for permission. He does not hesitate. Zoro does not cry. Zoro does not scream. Zoro does not fall. This is Zoro's discipline. His strength is not just in his sword. but his ability to carry the burden of suffering in silence. He does not seek sympathy, he does not seek admiration, because in his mind, this is simply the path he chose. And this is a key theme of Zoro, his philosophy of endurance. This is why Zoro is not just a strong swordsman. It is why he is not just a cool, stoic badass. His strength is not about winning fights. It is about how much he can endure without breaking. All the right strength in One Piece, not as a measure of power, but as a measure of conviction. Like with Luffy will endure pain because he refuses to let go of his dream. Sanji will endure pain because he will never let a woman be harmed. Usopp will endure pain because he wants to be strong despite his fear. But Zoro endures pain because he believes a promise is worthless unless you're willing to bleed for it. Thriller Bark was not about proving himself to Luffy. It was not about proving himself to the crew. It was about proving something to himself, that no matter how much it hurt, no matter how impossible it seemed, he would never allow his conviction to waver. And that is why, even in agony, even at the lowest, he stood tall. A man does not lead himself, cannot lead others. This is the final part of Zoro's philosophy. He is not just a follower. He is not just a soldier. He is a man who could be captain in his own right. And this independence, his ability to stand alone, to forge his own path, is exactly why he is the most loyal crewmate Luffy could ever ask for. So next, we'll explore why Zoro commands respect, not just from Luffy, but from everyone he meets. If you take a step back and strip away titles, the ship, and the hierarchy, Zoro is, by all means, a captain in his own right. He commands respect, he leads by example, his presence influences those around him, with others even questioning why he is not the captain. But here's what makes him different. He chooses to stand behind Luffy. It is not submission, it is not mindless loyalty. It's a conscious decision, a promise made, just like the one he made to Kuina. Zoro does not just follow Luffy because he is strong. He follows because he sees something in him, something that aligns with his own principles of conviction and strength. In many ways, Zoro embodies the qualities of a leader that others naturally rally behind. But he does not seek the title of captain, because his ambitions have never been about commanding others. They've been about protecting himself. Unlike Luffy, who wants to forge a kingdom of freedom, Zoro walks a path of discipline. And we see this reflected in how he responds to him. Water 7 and his lobby, when Luffy falters, it's Zoro who demands structure. When Usopp leaves the crew, it's Zoro who draws the line. If this ship lacks order, then it's just a gang, not a crew. In Punk Hazard, when Tashigi is in distress, it's Zoro who calls her out. Not because he lacks empathy, but because he understands that a swordsman doesn't get the luxury of weakness. In Dressrosa, when Luffy chases adventure, Zoro takes charge of the battlefield. While others scramble, he anchors the crew with strategic positioning and sheer willpower. It's not about power, it's about presence. Zoro does not need to be the one giving orders. His presence alone sets the standard for those around him. His role in the crew isn't just about protecting Luffy. It's about being the structure Luffy's freedom needs to thrive. Because what is a king without his knight? Finally, Zoro is a man of action over words. Words are cheap. Zoro knows this. In a world where pirates talk big, where betrayals are common, where promises are broken as easily as they are made, Zoro is a rarity, a man who lets his actions define him rather than his words. This is why his silence holds weight. Luffy shouts his dream to the world, declaring he'll be Pirate King without hesitation. Usopp spins grand stories of his greatness, manifesting his confidence through fiction. But Zoro speaks through the weight of his blade, through the scars he carries, through the sheer force of will he projects in every battle. He doesn't say things to sound strong. He doesn't make claims without meaning them. His convictions aren't for show. They're the core of his being. And that is why his words, when spoken, carry more weight than anyone else's. When he tells Luffy he won't lose again, he means it. When he tells Luffy he won't accept Usopp back without apology, he means it. And when he tells Mihawk he's giving up his life to become the greatest, he means it. Because when Zoro speaks, his words are reality. Zoro isn't just Luffy's right hand. He isn't just a powerful swordsman. He isn't just a cool badass. He is the embodiment of discipline, conviction, and sacrifice. A man who doesn't just live by his word, he endures for it. Through his pain, his unwavering loyalty, and his silent but unshakable resolve, Zoro represents the purest form of a warrior bound by honor. In a world where pirates betray, where words are empty, and when men falter in the face of hardship, Zoro stands as a monument to the power of conviction. This is what makes him one of the greatest characters in One Piece. This is the hidden depth of Roronoa Zoro and the weight of a swordsman's promise. And that was the video. Thank you for watching. I'd like to do more deep analysis videos and really get to the depth of characters and analyze them thoroughly. If you like this style of content, let me know in the comments below who you'd like me to do next. But besides that, as always, like, comment and subscribe. Thank you again for watching, and till next time, bye bye.